I fucking love old school hip-hop, don't you? Projecting indecision is a big no-no. Always smile. But this isn't another test. We don't do probation. You're either in or you're out. The Illuminati are very achievement-focused. It's like Xbox, only everything is hardcore. The ethic I really want to instill in you is to aim high and achieve even higher. It's not just in your best interest, it reflects on me, too, and that is super important. Make me look bad, I'll mount your head on my wall as an object lesson to the next fuck-up. God, it is so cute when you new guys think I'm kidding. Solomon Island. A little town and a preppy school with connections to us have kind of vanished off the coast of Maine. The people aren't a major deal. Do you know how many disappearances there are in the United States every year? We do. But our noses need to be totally clean on this one. The military are involved, and we have limited bandwidth to stall the shitheels at the DoD. Give an old dude a red button to press, it's like Viagra to them. I want you out on Solomon Island to assess the impact on our bottom line. You can skip the traffic and the quarantine by traveling through Agartha. Just use your initiative, but not too much initiative. That comes across as desperate. Ciao, ciao. I was an ordinary valley girl. Major in human resources, daddy in real estate who paved our driveways with his gold cards and shitty cologne. Rest in peace. Until one night in the hills, a couple of guys who were up to no good fucked with the wrong girl. I mostly deal with the new talent, but the Labyrinth is our organization's brain trust. We bring in key opinion formers from across the board. Government agencies, the Senate, law firms, financial markets, mass media. What you're going to find is that individually, they're compromised by being drama queens, or coquettes, or psychos. But try to appreciate the big picture. The New York tunnels have been around longer than the city. When the Illuminati moved here, we hustled an architect over from Germany to do the sacred geometry of this place. I understand you tested positive for magic powers. I'm not so into that stuff. I'm more of a .44 caliber girl. Just ask my ex-husband. Unless they're cleaning out his respirator tubes. But good for you. You're really going to be drinking from the weirdness fire hose. You had better not be having second thoughts. I am so not the rah-rah girl. Or if you want an Illuminati history lesson, then you need to understand history is adjustable. It blurs big time. When we tell people what to think today, what actually happened back then is no big whoop. Some Illuminati become emotionally compromised just hearing the name. I'm beyond it now. We're perfect and haters will hate, but I should make it very clear that the Templars started this. Ugh, talk about a non-starter. I don't want you reading any sign of weakness into me saying we've given up on the dragon, but we have basically given up on the dragon. They're the one that got away from the think tank. The Phoenicians are pirates. I know. When I was first briefed, I was all, what, like Napster? But they're a lot less .com. As an operation, they haven't changed much in 3,000 years. Which goes to show what a growth industry theft and murder really represents. If there's one good thing about democratic bodies, it's that they can be rigged. But that's the one good thing. We're responsible adults. We don't need big grandfather checking up on us. In writing. I mean, it's actual letters with wax seals. I'm serious. It's like being door-knocked by Renaissance Fair. You've got my divided attention.
Sorry. pretty quiet. Sometimes screams, gunshots, but, you know, Brooklyn. Joggers on this side of the river give you one hell of an evil eye.
Who watches the Watchman? The other Watchman, obviously. It's like a hall of mirrors. It goes on forever.
Hello? Yes? Now, this is the Hollow Earth, Agartha. I do hope you're not here for the local service. It's running somewhat tardy. And by my watch, it's 100 years overdue at 1/4 the hour. Judging from the cut of you, you're more of a world traveller. Well, you've come to the right place. This underground realm, like the great British rail system, is the very model of efficiency. Agartha's thoroughfares sprout from the Tree of Life and connect back to the surface. Distance and time bend in here. Why, you can cross the globe in a brisk walk. Of course, it's perfectly safe. No one's entirely sure how it works. Quite bedeviled the science boffins, but I'm assured they have their top men on it. Top men. Now, you'll need one of these. Mind your fingers. Thank you. Fascinating devices. Fortunately, there's still enough to hand out like sweets. Consider it your anchor to the hollow earth. It can return you here in a flash, proverbially and quite literally. Well then, onwards to the New England coast, what? I suppose one day my services will no longer be required to man the platforms. Modernisation encroaches on us all. Ticket machines, indeed. Good for addition, I don't doubt. Always with the correct change. Yet somewhat lacking in the human touch. Like my thunderous mechanical companions here. You'll get used to the balmy temperature. It's for the bees. They prefer it. Their honey is remarkable, though the aftertaste, a little like machine oil. Her Majesty once commented favourably on Agatha to me. A work of quite miraculous craftsmanship. I believe to tour it was one of her few joys after Albert passed. Topside speaking, I admit to falling a touch behind the times. Out of date. Well, you understand, though, a massive flora-mechanical network won't run itself. One always finds something needing doing down here.
Don't worry, kid. You haven't gone back in time. I just happen to be the last of the cowboys. Got your southern welcome right here. Mesquite beans, Texas style. Good ought to face evil on a full stomach. Name's Boone. I'm a troubleshooter. You and I need to have a powwow before you go shooting for trouble. Illuminati may have legacy on Solomon Island, but you folks gave that up for the high life and the low road. Sure, you can be divided in purpose, but we gotta stand united against darkness. This ain't my first rodeo. I know we're gonna need all the unity we can get. Don't mean to say you stepped into hell, but when the wind blows west, you can just about smell the brimstone. All we know is death and fog came from the sea, or someone brought it back with him. And if I was a gambling man, I'd put money on that someone still being around. Bunch of survivors holed up in Kingsmouth town. Follow that main road and the sound of gunfire, you'll come to the sheriff's office. Kid, whatever your reasons for being here, you find out what those people died for, and you bring a reckoning. This forest crawls. Gets my fingers itching for two matters. One, the other, figuring out a way to keep them down. It ain't right the way the dead walk the earth. They deserve their 6 feet, same as everyone else. I've sworn to keeping guard here, and you've got places to be. But nothing's stopping you from culling the herd as you go. Hell, figure out what makes them tick and how to make that ticking stop, and I'll buy you a beer at the apocalypse. So go on, kid. Saddle up. The end of the world waits for no man. I come from the South, the real old South. My partner Wolf and I ride for a higher authority. When you need to know us, you'll know us. You got a whole lot to learn about the secret world first, kid. And when you're all learned up, then you gotta understand what you learned.
Heck if I know where you folks keep coming from, but anyone who walks through that door alive pretty much gets my amnesty. Something in your past colors you sourly to a badge, I'd ask you to call it quits in return. We agreeable? Well then, I'm Sheriff Bannerman, and this down-home little state of emergency is what's left of my jurisdiction. Sure, we tried to hold as much of the town as we could at first, more out of nostalgia than any civil defense plan. I won't tell you Kingsmouth was a slice of heaven in a snow globe, but it was ours. Now it ain't. There was always something running under in this town. Maybe what's spilled out now. If that's how it works, I couldn't say hand on heart we didn't have it coming. But that fog, and the things in it, they didn't pick and choose when they came in. Most folks didn't stand a chance. Now, I can see you're armed. I won't kick up any fuss about that. Straight truth is, you'll need to be. Just don't go thinking that means you're deputized as such. Heaven knows if there was ever a time and a place for the right to bear 'em, you're looking at it. Henry has his word of God, that Roger woman has her crystal ball, and Norma out on the point's got a 12 gauge. My money's on Norma. Well, hey! Well, I don't mind telling you, this makes no damn sense to me. And I hate to be the one drawing a blank on Final Jeopardy. But right now, folks just need me to look like I got all the answers. The questions, they come later, along with the grieving. Then, after a little time, folks will lose their hankering for the questions. Fact is, a few of them in high places get downright evasive about it. If you're planning on striking out of town, Kingsmouth hospitality dictates I gotta set you right. And I need you to keep this on the down low. But there's worse out there than our undead problem. Worse than anything that shuffles along on two legs, that's for sure. I'm about as pleased as can be that I didn't catch a better look. Could be the kind of thing that gives a nightmare nightmares. Guess you could say I got lucky. Around the time this mess kicked off, I was up at the old lighthouse checking in on Sam Krieg, Maine's best-selling export. Oh sure, we do that fancy book learning around these parts too. Never much cared for horror stories or the man himself. Waving a rifle around in a dressing gown, juiced up, heck of a disturbance of the peace. Well, turns out that was the last of the peace. You sure you want to be talking to me about all this stuff? I mean, I'm probably flattered that you think I'm in on it all. Truth is, I'm always the last to be invited to the midnight meetings at Town Hall. Reckon I must be all thumbs when it comes to secret handshakes. Now come back without a piece out of you.
The Lady Margaret was a traumatic experience for everyone on board. They were changed men when they came back. I visited with all of them in the days following their return.
Hello, my friend.
wanted to be a police officer since as far back as I can think. I had a lot of time to myself growing up. I watched all the cop shows, again and again. The old shows, when a good cop was always a good cop. When you knew you could trust a badge, right? You knew before the half hour was up, they'd get the guy. Out of the basement. Sure chokes me up seeing Main Street all done up in buntings and so empty. The kids love that Halloween parade, you know? Then they'd all bus on up Bangor way for the haunted hay rides, ever since our local amusement park closed down. There were troubles. It was before my time. Oh, I knew everyone in Kingsmouth. A safe community isn't a spectator sport. I memorized that one. And Sheriff Bannerman preferred to have me walking the beat, you know, while she handled house calls. That suited me just fine. You know, our folks were a good bunch. They only cause a ruckus when they've had too much of the, you know what. Moose says it's best to talk things out. So, here I am, talking. Mom bought the kittens and Dad drowned them. That's the facts of it. I don't like speculating much, that's one step away from guessing. And the sheriff, she taught me never to guess. Jeez, you never saw anything like this in the cop shows. Well, maybe on cable, not the network ones. You wouldn't know it from looking out there, but before that wicked bad fog rolled in, Kingsmouth was a sleepy little burg. Nothing stronger on the streets than a hot cup of coffee and chocolate-glazed donuts from Susie's. The occasional DUI or domestic disturbance. Human sacrifice. But every town has a dark side, right? We sure are getting a heaped help in the darkness now, eh? The Walking Dead and worse besides taking over our town. Us survivors hold up in here, hoping it's all just a bad dream and we'll wake up to the smell of bacon and maple syrup. But unless someone ups and does something, and soon, all we're gonna wake up to is the smell of rotten flesh. And I don't need another thing to remind me of my dad. Halloween does bring back the memories, eh?